Obviously, this is a challenge for all schools getting into December and January about juniors who want to leave. Have you guys thought about, is there anything new outside the box which you can do legally to incentivize juniors to stay? And has there been any point in the last few months where you've ever wondered, why did Clemson have 3 first-rounders who stayed? We lost a couple defensive tackles who didn't even go until the 5th and 7th round. Does that type of thing bother you at all?
Why did Clemson have 2 or 3 players that also left and got picked in the 7th round?
Good point.
Same culture, same place.
Good point.
These are individual kids that make individual decisions, you know. So our responsibility is to educate them to what they're jumping into, and we have done that with our guys this year, and so that they can make the most educated decision possible. But at the same time, they have to make the best decision for themselves. You know, we would be selfish to say that we want what's best for UM. You know, and there is a scenario where what is best for them is also best for UM. But everyone's situation is unique, and some people have to take the choice on for different reasons. So I feel confident about the way we've talked to our guys, and you know, and I think they're going to make good decisions. I do.
Have you had that conversation with the linebackers yet?
Oh yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
And do you feel like they're coming back?
I don't think that'd be fair for me to say, but I feel like they're going to make a good decision.
Can you talk about the growth Gerald Willis has made from the time we first saw him to today?
Well, I mean, there's so many things. I mean, number one is as a person. I mean, he is, you know, he is as solid of a human being as we have in our football program right now. Always does the right thing. You know, hard worker. I mean, a guy that any young player would want to emulate their career after. You know, you become that guy. On the field, a guy who has made the transformation from a person who had talent, you know, which is usually the thing, you're blessed with talent coming out of high school, and then really learn the craft. And that's what I've seen with Gerald, you know. I mean, a lot of guys, their talent gets them to this level, you know, but their desire to really learn the craft is what takes them to another level. And that's what I've seen with him in the past 12 months. It was probably happening without us watching when he was on the scout team field a year ago, and even that is a selfless act, you know, to go there and just be you know, at the needs of the offense a year ago. But since we've had him back on our field since spring ball, I mean, a guy that every day is just really absorbed everything Coach Simpson has taught him, and really taken his game, in my opinion, to an elite level. In my opinion, he's an All-American.
Well, that's that position is loaded, and not just your conference.
Right.
And then you go to the Alabama guys.
Sure.
What's your argument for him to be right up there with those? Not just draft-wise, but just, you know, when All-American teams, all that kind of stuff.
Well, you have to go by something that's measured. That's a great question. So you have to measure it, right? Well, how do you measure the impact of that guy? Well, you measure it by the disruption he causes, right? So to have the amount of tackle for losses he has, which I think leads his position, okay, well, that's me. That probably means that you're the best defensive tackle. Well, is he just a guy that plays on a not good defense, and he's the only guy that makes plays? No, we're 3rd in the country in defense, ahead of some of those other, you know, marquee defenses that you would consider, you know, compare us to. So you have a guy who's on the 3rd defense in the country who leads the nation in TFLs as an interior defensive lineman. You know, is he getting punished because of the number after the dash in our win-loss record? Well, that's not fair to him. You know, that's not what All-American should be about. It should be the best players, you know, and not a beauty contest. So I hope the voters look at what he's done and what's real, and because the kid deserves it.
Manny, how about the guys, your seniors not playing? They're going to play in the bowl game, and there are seniors across the country that decide not to play in the bowl game. What do you think that says about them and your team?
Our guys wanting to play?
Yes.
I think 2 things. I think 1, just individually, they all love football. They just love to play. And 2, they love the Miami Hurricanes. You know, I mean, they have a special affinity for this place. A lot of them had it since the time that they first ever found out what a football was. And as many opportunities they have a chance to put on that they want to do it, you know. And I'll be honest, I try not to think about it because this group of guys, I mean, you know, looking at Jaquan and Redwine, you talk about Willis and some of those other guys, I mean, I don't want to think about a team without being able to coach them. I mean, that's the part that happens in this deal, but they have been, they will be missed not just because of their play on the field, but just their personalities will be hard to replace.
When you talk about awards and the voting process, people can look at numbers and say, okay, this is a good quarterback. Not a lot of people can look at defense and say, this is what makes a good interior defensive line.
Correct.
Because there's 130 DCs in the country that know how much it is, and that's know what makes a good DL, and that's
No
about
doubt,
it.
no doubt.
Do you ever get frustrated by the process of, or you kind of scratch your head at how some of these teams get picked? Because
it's always hard. It's always hard because you see, a lot of times you go by the numbers. So here I am saying you got to go by the numbers, but then you might have a position that, total tackles. Well, you might have a linebacker who doesn't play for a great team who racks up all these tackles because it's him and 10 cones on the field. You know what I mean? So does that make him the best linebacker? It's always hard to define, but there are certain playmaking stats, that I think that makes you stand out as an elite player, in terms of whether it's in the back end PBUs and interceptions or again, if you look at, I'll use Shaq as an example. Shaq didn't get nominated for the top 5 for the Buckus. But the first guy I compared his numbers to, he's got more tackle for loss, he's got more sacks, he's got more interceptions, more PBUs. I don't know how to explain to him why he didn't get in that mix. You know what I mean? So, however, all that is stuff that we can't control. And again, we don't want to get those things for the sake of getting the award. We want to get those things that helps us win football games. But at the same time, as a coach, you're kind of like their parent. You love to see the guys get their rewards at the end of the year.
Going back to Gerald for a little bit, he said, anybody can have a couple good games. At the start of the year, he was way up in the national rankings, and the human condition is what it is. He could have tailed off. It just seems, again, I don't know, I don't see film. You know more than I know, but it just seems like his motor keeps getting bigger.
He's been the same guy every week. His level of consistency has been remarkable. And again, I am still amazed at all what he did against LSU because of all the emotion that went into that game. That I thought it burned him out, and it was the opposite. He dominated. So, and he's never let off. And I think that's the way he practices out here. He comes to work every day. He's the same guy, and every week he's the same guy. And what a great mentor for all of our young defensive linemen to learn from.
Mike Jackson said there's something special about your pregame speeches. He said he doesn't know where you get it from. Dude, can you tell us where?
I don't know where I get them from at times either. I think the guys know. I think anytime as a coach, a lot of times that's super overrated.
Mm-hmm.
If it was all about pregame speeches, we'd all just give better pregame speeches. I'd have given. We shut them out in the second half. I'd have given the halftime speech before the game. If it was all about the speech, But I think players just want to know that you're speaking to them from the heart,
mm-hmm.
That you're aware of where their heart and mind is. You know what I mean, and that you can sort of touch them in that moment. And sometimes there might be a story or something that does that exact thing.
Manny, your secondary, obviously those 3 guys as seniors that are starters out there, what they've meant to this group. You guys are putting up numbers that are top 10 in the country and pretty much everything in pass defense, but just how special that group has been to maybe the whole defense, having them so reliable back there.
Yeah, you can't be good in college football without having a good secondary. And it doesn't even start with pass defense numbers. It's actually tackling first. Because again, you're in this day and age, when the ball gets out in the secondary, which it can do, offense get the ball out there, and the ability to have a secondary that can get the ball on the ground gives your whole defense confidence. Those guys are special. They've been in our program for 3 years now. I think a lot of credit has to go to Coach Bonda and Coach Rump, who've done an amazing job. The guys, they enjoy the consistency of understanding how our coverages work and being able to do the same things week in and week out. So we understand what we do, and then we really get to learn a lot of offense. We're not reinventing ourselves. We understand our coverage concepts. Okay, how does this team choose to attack us? Their experience makes it easy for us to adjust during a game. Because we see at times different things during the game. People will change their mentality against us at times, so they can think on the fly, and we can make adjustments during the game, and that really helps us win.
Many guys you're most impressed with as far as improvement over the last year. Seems like Finley would be high on that list.
Yeah, he would be the first one that popped into my mind, and Romeo played an outstanding game in Blacksburg. He was excellent, and he has a hard job. He is, on one play, locking down their slot receiver and man coverage, and on the next play he's running through B gap and tackling the running back for a loss. And we obviously had the big forced fumble there in the third quarter when we were really taking over. So Romeo was a great lesson for our guys who, he had a moderate role his first couple years, mainly a special teamer, and he trusted in the program, he trusted in our level of player development, and you saw it. We talk about Michael Jackson, the same way. And guys that if they, in this era of instant gratification and, everyone thinks recruiting equals instant player, if they just trust the process and trust the way we've developed our talent over 3 years, I think there'll be a lot more stories like Roman Finley to come.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you all so much. Happy Thanksgiving, everybody.